Chapter 7, verse 22 says, this makes Jesus the guarantor of a better covenant. And we're going to talk about this for a couple weeks, but I'm just going to start it tonight. I don't know if we have any concept of this. This means that Jesus has brought us a better covenant than the one God made with Noah, or the one God made with Abraham, or with Israel through Moses. This is because Jesus was always the outcome, right? Jesus was always the promise. He was the fulfillment and the fruition of every other covenant that God has ever made. So that means the answer has always been Jesus. The promise was always Jesus. God's desire was always for us to draw near to Him. And as Jesus said in John 14, He Himself is the way. He's the way for us to come close to God. He's the way for us to live in Him, live through Him, live for Him, and live with Him. He is the way for God's desire for our lives to be fulfilled, the way for us to be perfect. Because once again, perfection is not the absence of error. Perfection is full dependence upon God. Listen to what Peter wrote about this better hope, this better covenant, this great salvation. 1 Peter chapter 1 says, concerning this salvation, the prophets who prophesied about the grace that was to be yours searched and inquired carefully, inquiring what person or time the Spirit of Christ in them was indicating when He predicted the sufferings of Christ and the subsequent glories. It was revealed to them that they were serving not themselves, but you in the things that have now been announced to you through those who preach the good news to you by the Holy Spirit sent from heaven, things to which angels long to look. So let me just try to paraphrase this just a little bit. Here's what Peter was saying. When Abraham was living in friendship with God, he was desiring to live where we are right now, right? That's what Hebrews 11 says. He was looking for a city whose maker is God. So when Abraham was carrying the promise, he would have rather carried the Spirit. When Moses was speaking face to face with God the way a man does a friend, he desired to be living in fellowship with the Holy Spirit. When Daniel was having visions of the Ancient of Days, he longed to be living in relationship with Jesus. They all knew there was more. They all knew that there was a better hope and a better covenant, but they also knew that they were serving us. They knew that they were partners with God in the sending of the Messiah, that they would live with Him eternally, but they would not yet walk with Him in intimacy. So doesn't that mean that we have to come to grips with the fact that what God is doing in us may not be for us? Doesn't that mean that we have to come to grips that it's not about us? It's not us having everything we hoped for and everything we had planned and everything we wrote out. Doesn't it? Don't we have to come to grips with the fact that if God was withholding from them for my sake, maybe He's withholding from me for somebody else's sake? And not only is that okay, that's part of the better covenant. It's part of the better promises because it comes from the better priest. So instead of making life about gathering what I want, I'm being used for Him to scatter what He desires.